It is Indiana in the morning. We're glad you're with us today. AccuWeather says we're on the way to 77. They say those storms will hit late morning, early afternoon. Be aware of it. We could get some pretty heavy stuff. Right. Here we go. It is time for our visit with the Conservative Energy Network on this Thursday morning.
This morning's Indiana in the Morning segment with the Conservative Energy Network is brought to you by Sunnyfield Renewable Energy. Energy matters. Let's talk.
And indeed, talk is what we're going to do. Jim Gregory in the studio with us, Justin Mason as well, and we're joined on the telephone this morning by Daniel Dotterer, and I'm going to ask you guys to help introduce Daniel this morning. Daniel, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Good to have you with us here today. Jim, Justin, augmented reality. What is that, and how does it play into what you folks generally talk to us about?
I'll leave it to Justin. Daniel and Justin are what we lovingly call in the business energy nerds.
Oh, yeah.
They embrace it. They love it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll leave it to my energy nerd to my right.
Well, our energy nerd number one.
Yeah.
I welcomely and honorably accept the title. Thank you, both of you. Augmented reality is education and training inside the future of cyberspace. And Daniel is really a pioneer here in helping to establish augmented reality for agrivoltaics. So someday a veterinarian will be able to do diagnostics virtually, and training and education and advocacy can all happen in addition to veterinary diagnostics with augmented reality. And Daniel is really the leader of that, and I believe he's working on that with Penn State. Daniel, you want to go ahead and expound upon that further, please, sir. And thank you for your time this morning.
Daniel, sure sounds like it's a hands-on type of application.
Yeah, it's one of these very unique technologies. You know, I think in many ways technology has isolated us. There's a few technologies now that are really coming around full circle and allowing us to really come together. You know, I think the video chat is a great way. I know my family has done that a number of times where, family member can't be there at an event. And through Zoom chat and Teams has allowed us, where augmented reality is very much in that vein. It's a technology that's going to bring us together. It's a technology that's really made for education, for training, and it's really exciting now that companies like Apple, Amazon, I mean, you name it, Microsoft, all the big tech companies, Google, are coming out with this technology. So, just really wearable, almost a wearable laptop with these glasses, and really going to open the window for what we can do with it.
You know, when we think about it, and when we read your history, which is fascinating, by the way, you have a great story to tell. You're on a family farm. Your family's been on that farm since, 1819?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
It's not as if there have been any changes in agriculture over 200 years, has there?
You know, in many ways, our family has a history of that change in agriculture. You know, my ancestor, George Dotterer, came over on the boat from Germany. He had to save up for a few years, and he started farming around 1720 outside of Philadelphia. And then my ancestor, left and came up to central Pennsylvania here. So, we still have some of those documents from that time span. So we can really see that change. And agriculture is about change in our history and the history of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Jim and Justin, let's talk with you a couple of moments as well, and sort of flesh this out a little bit. When we talk about augmented reality and the technological demands that places upon the energy sector, right. Places like Homer City redevelopment, other projects that have been announced in Pennsylvania, they're really going to be a key not only to setting up Pennsylvania, and we have that selfish interest, we know. Right. But really, this entire half of the eastern part of the nation is really going to need what is coming here and to those other energy sectors.
since the announcement of Homer Center and the data centers that are coming there. There have been a couple of more announcements of more data centers coming in the eastern part of Pennsylvania. And while we're grateful that they're coming here and the jobs that they do produce and the tax base that they'll add to, the energy that's being produced for them, for example, Homer Center is behind the meter, which means all that energy is being produced for those data centers, which means it's not being taken from our grid and raising our prices or our taxes. But we do need to try and figure out the exact path that we have to producing more electrons in Pennsylvania, because we're going to need them so that homeowners are not seeing their taxes, their costs go up as ratepayers in Pennsylvania. That's a little bit about what we're here for, is to advocate for ratepayers. We're grateful for those jobs with data centers, but we also need to realize that those sources of energy are somewhat finite. We want them to be around for as long as possible. And so when we talk about energy matters, that's why we're talking about agrivoltaics, because when it comes to what Daniel espouses, it helps to support other forms of energy and how we can utilize sheep farms and sheep herding to take care of those fields where solar panels are being installed. And those are very important conversations that we need to have.
Yeah, Justin, the energy demand isn't going to be just one solution, is it? There's not one energy source that is going to plug the hole. We really have to be versatile.
We absolutely do. And diverse generation is how we get there. And when you look at the opportunities that agrivoltaics brings, it's innovation of rural electrification through energy and broadband expansion, because augmented reality can't even operate without broadband. Yeah. And the hinterlands of rural PA needs broadband and access to it, and expanding energy to monitor the utility scale solar sites, the windmill generation. You need constant monitoring of that facility, and broadband, that's how you achieve that.
Yeah. Hey, Daniel, let's visit a little bit about your experience with this whole topic and augmented reality. You were introduced to it, maybe five or 6 years ago. It changed the game, didn't it?
Yeah, it's actually been probably 7 or 8 now. And I remember when I put that first headset on, a good friend of mine was an executive at Microsoft and said, "You're the kind of person, you need to see this." And I said, I grew up on a farm. I said, I kind of missed out on the whole video game thing. And he's like, no. He's like, this isn't virtual reality. This is different. And that first time I put the headset on and those holograms were out in front of me, I said, this is going to change everything. And I said, and I want to be a part of it. So it was just a very, very exciting moment seeing that possibility.
On a practical matter, how has it changed what you do and what you can do, the potential for you as a farmer?
That's a great question. If you look through our family history, there's been very few times where things drastically changed. I remember when my grandfather snuck out, this was in the 40s, I guess, and bought a tractor. My great-grandfather was a world-renowned horse breeder, and he didn't want a tractor on there. A tractor would never do what a horse could do. And this is that kind of a moment, a real radical shift of how things are going to be going forward, and whether that's artificial intelligence, whether that is other technologies like augmented reality, the data, the information that we're going to have at our fingertips is going to allow, producers better breeding, better understanding of their crops, of their animals, allowing them to be more efficient, more profitable, and even giving the consumer more information. Wouldn't you love to know, hey, this is where, whether that's a container of milk, maybe I'm eating a salad, and knowing exactly where every single item that you're eating, where it came from, and that story behind that farmer.
You actually go right onto the supermarket shelf, don't you? You can actually, when we think about the potential for this, you could be walking through the produce section, pick up a head of lettuce, and know who farmed that lettuce.
100%. I know a friend of mine actually from elementary school, has a diner, and he switched from a Walmart milk, which is shipped well over 1,000 miles here, to a local dairy that's just a few miles away. The farmer comes and delivers it in a glass container, and he now sells 4 or 5 times more milk. People say it's the best chocolate milk they've ever had in their life. And it's allowing people, again, to support their neighbors, but you also get a better product as well. So there's so many great benefits of this kind of technology.
Where do you see it going? How big can this get?
It is going to drastically change our food system. You know, the amount of food recalls in the last 8 years has increased by about 10% per year. For example, romaine lettuce that's grown in California or some parts of Arizona, that can change hands 11 or 12 times between the field and the grocery store. And the last big E. coli outbreak that unfortunately killed, I believe it was over a dozen people, they were only able to pinpoint that came from a farm in Northern California. You know, is there, again, an employee not washing their hands properly? Is there maybe a coyote that's pooping in the field? Maybe there's a leaking of a manure storage tank. You know, these are all issues we can fix if we know exactly where that problem is coming from. So that is just one example of, instead of throwing out all the romaine lettuce in the whole country, we can pinpoint it to, hey, this is from one farmer from one field is the problem. So these huge economic benefits for the farmer, for the consumer, for the insurance company, for grocery stores. There's just a whole domino, you know, that if you throw that romaine lettuce away, it now has to be treated as a biohazard. There's so much cost savings that can be reaped from that.
Jim, Justin, this is obviously quite exciting, and it's something that folks are really, really going to embrace, I think, within the next 3 to 5 years as all of this comes. You know, his granddad and his tractor and his horse, you know, those things happen. Technology advances, and we adapt to it.
One of the advances that he's talking about, I was exposed to at Ag Progress Days from Penn State Ag Extension, and necessity is the mother of all invention, but a lot of this has progressed as a result of needs. And when we don't have enough techs out in the farm fields to address machinery that is now so much more attached to technology, and we don't have enough techs to be able to go out and fix them, this reality that we're talking about is also incorporated, because now a farmer can look at the problem, show a tech what the problem is, they can see it in real time and help that farmer fix it without a tech having to actually be on site, because we need our farm machinery to work 24/7. Farmers need to be working 24/7, and this augmented reality that we're talking about has so many more applications, which is why it's so important that we recognize the energy demands that this all. Look at what I'm wearing. This is my quad. You know, this is recording my day. I had to charge it last night. I had 5 things on my nightstand charging last night so that I could use them all today. And this is what Daniel's talking about, and the energy that we're talking about is why it's so important that we have this discussion.
Yeah, tractor does you no good if it's sitting out in the field and can't move.
Mm-hmm. Truly. And consumer choice, right? Now all of a sudden you can choose to make your repair, whether it's with an OEM part, an aftermarket part, but know how to go in and perform that work thanks to the augmented reality. And then consumer choice gets all the way to that head of lettuce or your milk, or in Daniel's case, mutton.
Yeah.
Because Daniel will be raising sheep through agrivoltaics, and then that mutton, you'll be able to see where that mutton has been raised.
If you want to.
And produced if you want to. And Daniel is the pioneer of that continuing on in his family's agricultural legacy. And kudos to him for it.
It's darned amazing. Daniel, I want to thank you for being with us here this morning. We're out of time, but it's been eye-opening.
No, thank you for having me. It's we're welcome more discussions on this topic.
Terrific stuff. We'll do that. It is Indiana in the Morning. Guys, thanks so much. Jim,
thank you,
Justin,
job,
we appreciate it. It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com.
Preparing families for retirement. GCES.
Hi, it's Clint.
And Galen here from GCES.
Pensions, 401ks, 403bs, or UGMAs. When you hear these words, numbers, letters, and acronyms, does it make you feel overwhelmed and sad or just a little bit stressed?
Believe me, I get it. It can be confusing, but that's why we do what we do.
At GCES, we want to help you feel comfortable with understanding not only the financial acronyms you may